It's time for another edition of the Daily Racing Form Weekend Preview. I'm Gino Buccola alongside Alexa Zepp. And Alexa, I am really excited because Saturday, October the 5th, is going to be one of the busiest days that I can remember in all of horse racing. When we think about big days like the Breeders' Cup and Kentucky Derby and Triple Crown days, they always have a big race or two and then a lot of graded stakes races. But on Saturday, there are 16 graded stakes races. And from Friday through Sunday across the world, really, a bunch of Breeders' Cup win and you're in races. The focus will be opening weekend out at Keeneland.
Yeah, it's opening weekend here. I'm so pumped. Keeneland is such an awesome racetrack. It runs twice a year. It runs in April and October. So in April, there's a lot of hype prepping for the Kentucky Derby. And then this fall meet in October, everyone is getting ready for the Breeders' Cup. And it takes you back in time. Everyone's dressed to the nines. And like you said, packed with quality elite racing. This weekend, today, tomorrow, and Sunday, there's 8 Breeder Cup win and you're in races. And one of the big ones is the Grade 1 Breeders' Futurity tomorrow. It's going to be race 9 on the card, and it's a bunch of 2-year-olds. So it's a bunch of baby horses. We haven't seen a whole lot of them yet, so liable to have surprises tomorrow. And the winner will get that berth into the Breeders' Cup. And since these are babies, we might be seeing some of our future Kentucky Derby contenders tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. You never know in these 2-year-old races who might be a Derby or a Preakness or a Belmont winner here. One of them could be Ferocious, who has been very impressive, Alexa, in his 2 starts. He was a really nice winner in his debut. Then he came back and he stepped up and he faced some of the best 2-year-olds, the best horses in his age group, in his division, and he was a really good second. So that proves he's at the tip top of the division. And the horse that beat him, Chancellor McPatrick, he's not running in here. He's running actually at Belmont and Aqueduct on Saturday. So Ferocious, I think he's installed as the morning line favorite, and he deserves to be coming off that good second place finish.
Yeah, it was a really good second place finish, and I honestly think he probably should have won that race. If you watch in the stretch, I think he had trouble shifting leads. And for those of you who don't know what that means in horse racing, so the lead is whatever leg the horse is reaching farther with in their stride. And they naturally change leads throughout the race. Like when they go around the turn, they're leading with their inside leg, the leg closest to the rail, and that just helps keep balance. And then when they get back on the straightaway, they'll want to shift to that outside lead, and you'll see this kind of like burst of it's hard to see if you haven't watched a lot of races, but you'll see this kind of burst of momentum and energy. And like I said, a lot of that happens naturally, but sometimes they need training and urging from the jockey in order to shift those leads. So you saw him kind of stall in the stretch and then go again, and I think that was a little bit delayed lead shift. So if they've trained that out of him, I think he's got a really good shot tomorrow.
Yeah, think about when you're young and you're learning footwork, right, for a new sport or something like that. It'll take you a little while sometimes to get it down, but then once you do, it's fluid motion. Sometimes these young horses, they're still kind of green. You can see that they're still figuring out their gait completely. And when they get tired, sometimes that's when they really have a tough time doing that. Let's move to a big long shot, Alexa, the number 2. I don't have a whole lot to say about Saratoga Cruiser. It was impressive to close from way out of it, but that was against a lot softer group than this. These are way tougher rivals.
They are. I mean, again, impressive win, huge step up. I think it's going to be a big ask for him tomorrow.
Number 3, Optical was extremely impressive in winning on September the 18th over at Churchill Downs, won by 14 lengths. He was able to get out front and just cruise on the lead. I don't know if he's going to get that type of trip here. He's another one who he's going to get the acid test facing a lot tougher group.
Absolutely. That performance was really impressive. He'd had 3 starts before that. So he's got 4 races under the belt, which is more than anybody in here. Those first 3 were pretty bad. So we saw this completely different horse. He got to the lead, didn't have a lot of pace pressure. So I don't think he's going to get that easy of a trip this time.
The number 4, Handsome Pants. I'd say he was named for our producer, Mike, Alexa, but he's more than just Handsome Pants because he's back there pulling the strings on this broadcast as well. Handsome Pants was a debut winner, and he was impressive to go a mile and a 16th in your career debut and to close from about 5 lengths out of it. You don't see a whole lot of horses do that in their first start. I think this horse has some maturity, and I think he shows experience a lot more than a horse with just that one race.
You're absolutely right. You don't see a lot of horses debuting at a mile and 16th. Actually, of everybody in here, there's only two that have run that distance, and he's the only one who's run that distance on the dirt. So I think he's absolutely a play in here. I'm actually very surprised we're getting 10-1 odds on him.
Yeah, the number 5 East Avenue. He's really fast early, Alexa. His debut at Ellis Park was extremely impressive. I think that's what we can expect from him again, right? Probably flashing that good early speed.
Yeah, he should be the pace setter in here. He's definitely a contender. My only question is if he can handle the pace pressure because there is going to be a fast pace, and I do think he'll get more pressure from his foes in here. So we'll see if he can handle it, but I like him.
Yeah, stretching out from 6 furlongs to a mile and a 16th isn't easy, but he looks like he has that natural ability. Filoso, I don't really have any knocks on that effort. He showed improvement from start 1 to start 2. This is what happens in these stakes races, right? All of these horses are good. They're coming off of nice wins. You just got
Mhm.
to have to pick and choose because you can't use them all.
Yeah, I mean, we do have to pick and choose, and the added distance in the last start seemed to help him. So the added distance today, it doesn't really bother me. The only thing that is why I didn't choose is because his trainer doesn't really have very good stats with 2-year-old horses or horses coming off of a win.
Macero is the next one, the number 7. His win came on back at Ellis Park in July, and then he tried Stakes Company in the Iroquois at Churchill Downs. He was fourth that day. It was a fine effort. I just felt like I wanted to see a little bit more. He was 20-1 against Stakes Company that day, so I'm kind of taking a wait and see approach with him.
I actually like this as a long shot, and maybe not to win, but on the underneath in exotics. Like you said, been out twice, stepped up, and disappointed. However, I like that he was still trying the entire race and improving. His speed figures improved a lot between the first and second start, and I think we could see some more improvement tomorrow.
Big Boat is the next one. He was a debut winner on September the 12th over at Churchill Downs, and it's no real knocks on that effort. So you start going through this field, and you have a lot of these talented horses. He's one who wouldn't shock me if he jumped up and improved just a little bit off that debut race, and it was a nice race, Alexa.
It was a nice race, and his trainer James DeVito is really good with 2-year-olds. He has a 27% win rate and over a $3.50 ROI. But like you said, we got to pick and choose. This is a salty field. This is going to be a tough race. So I think this might be a little bit tough of a spot for him.
Tenacious Leader is one of the horses that you mentioned that's at least been this distance of a mile and a
Mhm.
16th. He went a mile and a 16th on the turf. He was very good that day. He was second. He was only beaten the neck to a horse named Zulu Kingdom, and that horse came right back to win a grade 2 on the turf, the Pilgrim. So he's been facing good company, and he at least has some foundation with those 3 races.
Yeah, he's gone off the favorite every race he's run in. He's improved each race. His best performance, like you said, was over the turf. I think he's going to want to be forwardly placed, though, which is my concern because I just think there's faster horses in here earlier. He does have powerful connections, though, with Todd Pletcher and Rapoli.
Dapper Moon showed improvement from start 1 to start 2. In his debut, he lost to a horse named Incentive Pay, and that was a horse who was not far behind Ferocious in the Hopeful, and they ran in their second start. So I think he fits. I like that improvement. He's drawn well to the outside. He seems like a player in a wide open race, Alexa.
I think he could be a major player if he gets the position he wants, which again, I think is going to be wanting to be in the mix early. I'm concerned with the outside post. And I think he's just going to encounter a lot of pace pressure. So this one I really debated. I know that you like him, Gino, and he's he's a potential contender for sure.
And then we round out the field with the number 11, Ready for Peace. First time on the dirt. He tried turf both times. He does have 5 siblings on the dam side and 3 of them dirt winners. Surface wise, he should be okay. I need to see him kind of class wise. Does he fit with this group?
I agree. I just, from what I've seen so far, I don't think he's fast enough. So I'm going to wait and see as well.
Okay, Alexa, as we wrap up our thoughts on the Breeders' Futurity, let's take a look at selections for this race. You're going to put the one on top, 1, 4, 5, 7 for you. Give us a thought on Ferocious.
Yeah, Ferocious going to be the big favorite. But again, I think if they fix that lead change, he should win.
Yeah, I've Dapper Moon on top. 10, 5, 4, 1 for me. We both have the 4 and the 5 as horses that may not be favored, but you might want to use in some of your exotics. As we get set for a commercial break, why don't you let the folks know about the Timeform US promotion we have for them?
Yep, all our SportsGrid viewers can go try out this awesome product for free. Just head on over to drf.com/sportsgrid and use code SGTF24.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Sunday Night Football, not really much of a matchup here. And the Bills looked so good up until this point. And, to me, it's probably like a one-off for them.
The basic thing you have to do against the Ravens, force them to pass and try to use their weapons downfield, get them behind. Because if you can do that, then it takes Derrick Henry a little bit out of the game. But if you get them with momentum coming out of the gate, getting a long touchdown run on the first play.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Multi-race exotic wager this week, we're going to focus on the pick 5 out at Keeneland. Now, remember, for those of you who are sports bettors, this is like a parlay. You have to pick the winner of all 5 of these races. The difference for us, when we're putting our ticket together, we can use multiple horses in each race. It's just going to cost us a little bit more money every time we do, so we'll get a little less of a return on our investment. So we don't want to use every horse in every race, Alexa, because then we're going to lose money that we spend on the pick 5 ticket. In the pick 5 we talk about this week, all stakes races, all graded stakes races at Keeneland. We're going to look at Saturday, Keeneland, October the 5th, races 6 through 10. So let's get started, Alexa, with the grade 2 Woodford. We have a lot of these horses that are coming back from the turf sprint at Kentucky Downs, and a lot of these horses who are excited. They don't have to see a horse named Cogburn, who's like the tip top and an absolute monster in the turf sprint division. So why don't you start us off and tell the folks who some of the horses we're going to use are?
Absolutely. So the first one we like is number 4, Our Shot, 4-1 odds or plus 400. And he had a summer of almost at Saratoga, got second in both of his races, one by a nose, the other by a head. Saez was aboard for both of those days and stays on him today. He's won from the lead and then closed in those last 2 spots. So he's got that tactical speed we talk about. And he also closed in last year's edition of this race to get second place behind Arzak, who is back to defend his title this year. Another one we'll use is No Balls, 9-2 odds. Last year's Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint winner. After that, he took almost an 8-month break, and since then has had 2 disappointing races, but I'm not ready to say he's lost it or declining. That first race, again, was after 8 months, and the next one was over the unique Kentucky Downs turf course where a lot of horses just simply don't like it and don't perform well. And it's not like those performances were awful either. He still had really good speed figures in them. So I think if he breaks sharply and gets to the lead, he'll have a good chance.
Looks like he's rounding back into form. We'll also throw in the 8 Super Quest, who's really quick. He can also sit off a little bit, and he may be the fastest in here, the one that they all have to catch. So 4, 6, and 8 for us in race number 6, which is the first leg of this 5-race sequence. Let's move to race number 7, Alexa. This is the TCA, the Thoroughbred Club of America for filly and mare sprinters. Start us off and let the folks know who some of the horses we'll use are.
Yep, this one also is a Breeders' Cup win and you're in race, so everybody's really going to be trying in here. Like the number 1, Clearly Unhinged, ran her fastest race to date last month, and she tends to do well when she gets a forward position early and can hang on, and the pace looks like it's going to set up that way for her tomorrow without a whole lot of pace pressure in those early stages. Also be using number 3, Brightwork. Will probably be the favorite in here. She's won 5 out of her 7 lifetime starts, and her losses came in a tough grade 1 at Keeneland and then in the grade 1 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, so against really tough competition. Those 2 were also the only routes she's ever tried, so we know this is her specialty distance. And she should just come from off the pace. If she improves off her last start, she'll be tough.
Yeah, the 4 Spirit Wind we'll use. This is a horse who's kind of a monster at 6 furlongs. When she goes a little farther than 6 furlongs, it's too far for her, but she's 6 for 7, and her only loss at this distance came to a horse named Echo Zulu, who is 9 for 11, and she was an absolute monster. We'll throw in the 7 Red Carpet Ready to the outside, who's going to get back to the dirt after a couple races on the turf, and she's not quite at the tip top of the division with horses like Vava and maybe horses like Society, but Red Carpet Ready does fit pretty well with a group like this, and she can sit close from the outside. Let's move to race number 8, Alexa. In this one, it's the First Lady going a mile on the turf for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. You are going to mention a couple of the horses that we have. If they're a little out of order in this race, you're going to talk about the 2 that you like a little more, and I'll mention the others that I liked a little bit more. So who are the ones that you liked most in here?
I like the number 2, Tarawa. It's an Irish horse. All of her lifetime starts so far have been on the other side of the globe. She's won 2 out of 3 of her most recent, including a Group 3 race over there. So now they're bringing her on over to North America. She ran against the boys 2 back and conceded the win to Diego Velasquez, who's a really talented horse that is targeting the Breeders' Cup Mile. And her trainer, Dermot Weld, is the winningest trainer in history in Ireland and has a lot of success shipping those horses over here. Also like number 10, AG Bullet, already a millionaire, already won 6 out of 9 races in her life. She's already a contender in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. She's so very versatile. And so this will be a nice prep for her going into the championships.
We showed you Fluffy Socks a moment ago. She's a deep, stone-cold closer. In a lot of her races, she just doesn't get the pace to run at. I think there are versions of this race where she does, where she actually gets the pace. She can sit back. She can make one late run. Sometimes even going a little shorter, they go faster early, and it sets up better for her. Gina Romantica, the 4, probably the horse to beat. She's run some huge races at Keeneland, and she feels like she's rounding back into form. So for Alexa and me in race number 8, we'll use 1, 2, 4, and 10. Alexa, we spoke about the Breeders' Futurity in detail, but why don't you recap the picks for the folks out there? Let them know, who are we using in race number 9?
Absolutely. We're going to get spread in here like we talked about. It's a really difficult, salty race. So we're going to spread a bit. We have the 1 Ferocious, less than 2-1 favorite. They spent $1.3 million on this horse. High expectations. The number 4 Handsome Pants, 10-1 odds. A closer in here and one of only 2 who's tried out this distance. Also, the 5 East Avenue, likely the pace setter in here is going to have a test with all that pace pressure and see if he can hang on and run him around the whole race. And finally, the number 10, Dapper Moon, who's improved a lot in his second start and will hope to sit close to the pace on the outside.
So we'll be using 1, 4, 5, and 10 in the Breeders' Futurity. It'll all come down to Carl Spackler. The Bill Murray fans out there will absolutely be rejoicing. Alexa, what's been so impressive about Carl Spackler in watching his races is how he's been improving and just showing more tactical speed. He just seems like a horse who can run his race. He can put himself right off the lead if they need to, if they're going really slow. If they go faster, he can back off a little bit. He just seems versatile and like he can adapt to really any scenario that they throw at him. That's a nice horse to have if you're going to have to key in and single on a horse who seems like they have versatility.
Yeah, he's a very talented horse. And if you see that pace projector up there, it has that icicle favors front runners. He's a front runner. I mean, we're singling him here. We love him.
Yep. And here's a look at how we've built our Pick 5 ticket. Altogether, it's a $96 play. Remember, when they're a 50-cent base like this, you're going to multiply the amount of horses you have in each race, and then we'll divide by 2. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 4 is 48. And we get to 192 and divide that by 2 with our single. So it all comes down to Carl Spackler. We have some price opportunities along the way. When we return from this quick break, we'll do some quick hitters on the stakes at Belmont at the Big A on Saturday.
Sunday Night Football, not really much of a matchup here. And the Bills looked so good up until this point. And, to me, it's probably like a one-off for them.
The basic thing you have to do against the Ravens, force them to pass and try to use their weapons downfield, get them behind. Because if you can do that, then it takes Derrick Henry a little bit out of the game. But if you get them with momentum coming out of the gate, getting a long touchdown run to the first play.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I do a sliding DiVincenzo to the one. Obviously, Terrence Shannon Jr., that is actually dynamic offensively and defensively. So we'll see how it works. I think it's a little bit of a work in progress. Do both teams win? Yes. I don't think at the end of the day, Minnesota could have afforded to keep Cat, Rudy, and Ant with that amount of money.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Brian Dable has been feeling it. He's in a foul mood. He's having stare downs with Pat Leonard and everything else.
John Mara wants Brian Dable to go and get the next quarterback. They tried to get the next quarterback. We all watched it on Hard Knocks. They couldn't end up with Daniels. They couldn't end up with May. So they said, okay, we'll run it back a year. We'll go get Neighbors, and we'll tolerate.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Saturday is also a big day at Belmont at the Big A. Alexa, they have 4 graded stakes races in the middle of the card, races 5, 6, 7, and 8. 2 of them are win and you're in races for the Breeders' Cup, and they're also part of a Future Stars Pick 5. There's a lot of stuff going on out there. Let's do some quick hits on these races, give everybody an idea of who's running in some of the big ones at Belmont at the Big A this weekend. So let's move on out there and let's take a look at race number 5 on Saturday, October the 5th. In this one, it's the Grade 3 Jockey Club Derby Invitational. We're looking at Carson's Run, who is probably one of the top contenders in here.
Yeah, Carson's Run should be the favorite. He's won half of his lifetime starts and only been out of first or second place twice, with a total lifetime earnings of $1.3 million. So he's a millionaire. He's also a deep closer, so he should be coming fast at the end of the race. Timeform US, as you can see, does project him to win, and I do agree that it's the likely outcome. A price that I like in here, though, is the number 2 Dashman at 8-1 or plus 800 odds, who is also coming off of 2 consecutive wins.
I'm with you on Dashman. I think could sit a really nice trip down on the inside, save some ground. Let's flip to race number 6. That's the next one. That's the Grade 3 Belmont Turf Sprint. For a race like this, where they usually go very fast early on, it doesn't seem like there's that many in here whose running style is very fast early. A lot of these horses are more mid-pack to deeper closers, which you don't usually see for a turf sprint like this. Because of that, I think you want to look at a horse like the 9, Nothing Better. He's versatile, but he's one of the quicker horses. If you look at the Timeform US pace projector, they have him sitting second. They have him actually winning the race there. And I think he's probably the classiest of the speed. He's proven himself against other really fast horses. And with the outside draw, I think that will give them some options. So I picked Nothing Better on top in here. If you're looking for a couple others to include, the 2 Mischievous Angel is a really sharp up-and-coming horse. Determined Kingdom is one who we see underneath that could also be flashing some speed. And maybe the 8 Algon is a horse who you and I talked about a few weeks back, Alexa. But we'll move to our next race, the 7th race. And what we have to mention is one of the horses who would have been a major player in this race and probably in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. She's out. Senza Parole was the morning line favorite in the Frizette, and she will not be running. She came down with a physical issue, which is a bummer because sky's the limit for her.
Yeah, it really is a shame. I've heard she's out the rest of the year, so that sucks.
Yeah.
But it did make this race a whole lot more interesting because she was the big favorite in here, and it's just really opened up and become an extremely competitive race now that she's out. I like the 2, the Queen's MG, and we don't actually have the graphic for this race, so that's why you're not seeing that on the screen. But the 2, the Queen's MG, had a really successful summer at Saratoga. She's won 3 out of her 5 lifetime starts and has won over the Keeneland course before. Her last out was bad, but it was muddy, so I can throw that out. A lot of horses don't like when there's, mud in their face, understandably. She'll be stretching out longer and than she's ever gone, and it'll be an interesting test for her. So based on her performance in the Adirondack, I think she can handle the distance. So that is my selection.
Couple others to keep an eye on, the 3 Pondering, and a place where Mike likes to go, the Paradise City. Take me down to that Paradise City. A couple others who probably are going to be shorter prices, but as you pointed out, the race is way more competitive and evenly matched now without Senza Parole. I'll finish things up in the Grade 1 Champagne, and just like we were talking about with the Breeders' Futurity, what's so exciting about this race is the future. You think about horses who could be a future Kentucky Derby winner. In this race last year, Fierceness was in the Champagne. Fierceness didn't really run well, but this year he's won some big races. We just saw him recently win the Travers. So who could be a future star that we see in this race? Maybe it is Chancellor McPatrick, who's already a Grade 1 winner. What's kind of intriguing about him, though, he hasn't been very fast in his 2 races. He's had a little bit of trouble at the start, and then in his second start, he hit the gate. But even after that, he doesn't seem like he's very quick early. He does take a little while to get going, but when he does get going, he has a big turn of foot. He builds up that momentum, and he actually defeated Ferocious, the horse who we had just talked about in the preview in segment 1 of the Breeders' Futurity. So Chancellor McPatrick, probably the one they'll all have to hold off. I do think the 5, Uncaged, is a horse who might be able to sit a little closer and get the jump on Chancellor McPatrick. If the 10 has to come from way out of it, the 5 might be able to sit in the middle of the pack and not have to deal with as much traffic. So it's a big day out at Belmont at the Big A. They have 4 graded stakes races. We already talked you through the 5 over at Keeneland and the pick 5 there. Don't forget about Santa Anita. I got to see Alexa last week at the California Crown. We were hanging out. There are 4 graded stakes races out there. And then where you like to go up at Woodbine, Alexa, they have a big day up there too. As we say goodbye to everyone, let the folks know one more time where we can find the Timeform US promotion.
Absolutely. If you like this, you like horse racing, you want to learn more how to bet on them, we're offering this awesome interactive, colorful Timeform US product for free to all of our SportsGrid viewers. Just head on over to drf.com/sportsgrid and use code SGTF24 to get your free race card.
Good luck this weekend, everyone. We'll be back again next week. Same time, same place.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards.
That was
thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Brew Crew has already clinched the National League Central. They're 2 games behind LA, that being the Dodgers, trying to maybe get the 2nd seed in the National League standings for October.
Both of these teams have a chance to score some runs against these pitching matchups, so maybe another over, even though we do have a playoff atmosphere. And yes, Milwaukee did clinch, but there's still an eye on the prize of we might be able to chase down the Dodgers and also the Phillies to get one of those buys.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Brian Dable has been feeling it. He's in a foul mood. He's having stare downs with Pat Leonard and everything else.
John Mara wants Brian Dable to go and get the next quarterback. They tried to get the next quarterback. We all watched it on Hard Knocks. They couldn't end up with Daniels. They couldn't end up with May. So they said, okay, we'll run it back a year. We'll go get neighbors, and we'll tolerate.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Pharrell